The second half of Great Rift is here, which means a new boss with new mechanics, so let's go over everything about this boss. Note that this is only going to cover the general concepts around the boss. We're not going to get into the meta stuff yet, just because it hasn't even been a day yet. Let us take some time to let the meta settle. I think at a glance, it's probably going to be something like Serennial Veronica +1 though. So, for the Amplify effects, we have 50% more damage to Void and Instinct cards. Chizuru, Serennial, not too surprising. We get double HP at the start of battle, helps a lot with tanking, so you're not necessarily forced to run a super healer. On Ravage, plus 50% damage amount to instinct cards for this battle. Once per turn, maximum 10. I don't know why this maximum 10 is here. This makes me think that it might carry over between phases, and there could be some wonky thing where you want to try and not Ravage the boss on the first phase, but that sounds kind of weird. We'll see what happens with that. That probably needs a little bit of testing. The important thing is here, on the Rearguard battle, so the second half, when the battle begins, all but one copy of upgrade cards with the same name will be removed, and the remaining cards will have Heave Unique applied to them. This is important because this means that Tressa is pretty much dead, at least in the second half. So here we are entering phase 2, and we can see at the very start of the turn, I only have one Shadow Reload. It's got Unique on it. It's got Unique on this. This has Unique, and you see it even says Replicated. It picks a random of one of the cards to keep, so this was not my initial card. Taking a look at my deck, I also have a bunch of Dice Tricks here, and this is also Unique. Of course, any dupes of non-upgrades you can keep. I have all of my Source of Water still. It's only the upgrades that will be removed. So the other characters hit by this, besides Tressa and Cassius, off the top of my head, I can think of Beryl. Pretty much any character that is duplicating unique cards is going to be hit by this and not really usable in phase 2. Though you still can use them on the first half at least. And then lastly, you will gain combat score based on the damage amount, and once you reach a certain threshold of damage, the score you receive in this manner will gradually be reduced, which kind of doesn't really matter because you'll notice that they don't have anything else talking about how you gain score. The part where you get score by healing and shielding has been removed, so the self-harm meta is gone, which I kind of enjoyed doing that, honestly. I thought the self-harm meta was very fun, but this means that your score is only going to come from damage now. It's pretty much just going to be a DPS check on phase 2. And we still have the thing where 10 turns on the first half, and if you kill the first half in 5 turns, then you'll be able to pass 5 over to the Rearguard, and you'll have 10 turns total there. So now let's take a look at the general mechanics behind the boss. This isn't the best setup, it's just I already have save data for them, so we're just going to go in. So we hit 000. Okay, so the mechanics around the boss. First things first, you've got the mucous membrane. Decrease damage taken by 30%, one hit decrease by 1. You don't necessarily have to spam a bunch of hits, you could also just kill it through the damage taken. The reduction, but spamming hits will reduce this, and you'll be able to deal full damage afterwards. At the start of the turn, create one substitute in the draw pile and increase the damage dealt by the boss by 5% for each substitute. The increased damage dealt shouldn't be a huge issue. You should be able to face tank it pretty much no problem, I think. And then we still have elasticity here, where if you hit more than 7 times with a single attack, it'll gradually decrease your damage until it hits 1. I'm gonna play all my cards here real quick. And let's take a look at Substitute. So Substitute is a status ailment 2 cost, but it has inspiration. If you draw it via a card, then you'll be able to decrease its cost by 2 for that turn. Pretty much turns it from a very bad card into a neutral card. It's just a 0 cost, and you draw 1 completely net neutral. But if you draw it naturally at the start of the turn, then it's a dead card. 2 AP is way too much for you to use on a turn. And there's a couple other mechanics with this boss, which we're going to see if we can get them to activate. This turn does not look fantastic. Here, sometimes it'll generate extra substitutes as well, and it also gets 5 Thirst, which we'll have to remove on the next turn too. Thirst just being even more damage reduction, 50%. And you can see we naturally drew Substitute here, so it's 2 cost. Very, very hard for us to actually use that. Let's see if we can draw into a Substitute. We did. So this time when we draw it and you proc the Inspiration, it's a 0 cost now. And you pretty much get another free draw. We very luckily managed to get rid of all of our, or almost all of our substitutes there. Oh, that's awkward. Even so, yeah, even though, like, I mean, you can see, even though the Tressa team is pretty much dead on the Rearguard, it still works fine for, like, the Vanguard phase, as long as you, don't mess up too much. This is another important mechanic. Sometimes you'll see it go into True Liberation, and it gets Destructive Urge. On remove, change to weak action. Really easy to deal with, you just have to hit it a bunch of times. So let's toss out... Probably toss out that, to be honest. We're gonna hit it 8 times, or 7 more times. Trying to keep count here. 4. They've got 1 hit left. Let me pull out a card. I guess we'll just have it here. I do want the AP now. So, when you... Oh, I should not have used that. I'm not going to bother reverting, though. When you get rid of this Destructive Urge, let's take a look at what happens. So it takes your entire hand, puts it back into your draw pile, and then it'll draw 5 cards. Because I had like 9 cards, and I only drew 5. That's why I said I probably shouldn't have played the heal, because I filled my hand with more 0 costs that got put into my hand. If I didn't have the Shadow Daggers, I would have drew like 3 of these cards instead, probably, because I would have just used a 000. That's one thing to watch out for, just reefing your like hand like that. It is something to be careful of, and it will switch the tack again over to something else as well, which might be something you need to look out for. I'm probably actually going to discard my 000s here, just to get some of the more healing cards and generate more stuff. And at this point, we've covered all the mechanics on the first phase. I'm just gonna kill this guy real quick, so we can move over to phase 2. Now we're in phase 2, and we have slightly different mechanics. We have Infection. On heal by card of a combatant, apply a debuff to that combatant, and also remove all debuffs from this unit. This is another anti-Tressa mechanic, I guess. Not really necessary with the whole upgrade thing, but this is here, I suppose. And this boss really doesn't do that much damage on this phase, so I don't think you really have to worry about it. There is one thing, though, that you do have to watch out for, which we'll talk about later. We still have Mucous Membrane, but the remove mechanic has been changed. Now you have to Ravage it to get rid of this instead of hitting it a bunch of times. We have Achievement of Agony, and the Substitute, this is a wrong translation. It's a different card, the similar effect that we'll talk about, but it still generates 1 in your draw pile every single turn, and then also increases the damage amount by 5% for each of the card in your hand. The new mechanics are that it gets 20% more tenacity or recover tenacity every single turn, plus, on Ravage, it'll decrease the cost of Substitute by 1. It's not Substitute, it is Counterfeit. Counterfeit, it's the same thing, 2 cost, draw 1, and you'll notice the inspiration is gone, which means the only way to reduce the cost of this card is by ravaging it, and you'll have to ravage it twice in order to get rid of the cost. This means that you don't necessarily want to draw directly into the card, you want to ravage it a bunch, and then it'll become a net neutral card. Until then, it's pretty much going to bloat your hand. And we still have elasticity, of course, which is just hitting it more than 7 times with a single attack will gradually decrease the damage taken. This is anti-Meilin, and why I don't think she's going to be best in slot. Let's take a look at the healing thing first. I think actually I'm going to play this first so I don't draw into my strikes. So here I heal a little bit, and Destruction and Urge. It just removed all of the weaken from the flashbang that I had, and we have a little debuff applied on us. I think we have Necrosis. For 1 turn on heal by card, inflict piercing fixed damage equal to 200% of heal amount. It's going to out damage your heal pretty much, and it'll give you another Necrosis. So it just heavily punishes you for spamming heal. It's just straight up an anti-healing mechanic, which is interesting, I suppose. So luckily, my upgrade does help me a lot with my breaking here. I'm going to just play some of my cards and we'll try and get a Ravage. I do not mean to double play that. It's okay, we can just break it next turn. And you can see the 1-hit thing coming in. And here you can also see the tenacity recover at the start of the turn, so it goes up. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do this and this. Oh, this is like, yeah, you can see if you don't ravage every single turn, the counterfeits definitely start stacking up. I have 3 in my hand, 1 in my draw pile. It's not pretty. I also do think this is why Veronica is really good. Since her card specifically draws 2 other combatants cards, you can really get around a lot of the counterfeits bloating your hand, even if you're not ravaging every single turn. As long as you're playing Repose, you'll be guaranteed to draw the actual, like, cards that you want from your DPS. You do need a second method of draw, I think, potentially, to actually draw the Reposes, because you can see I have, like, no way to get my Reposes anymore. But let's Ravage, and we'll see what happens. So Mucous Membrane is gone. Our counterfeits are all 1 cost less now. I need to get rid of another card first. And there's another, the big attack it also has. We're going to let it play that real quick. Okay, this is not the big attack, so we'll do a couple more turns and just see if it ever decides to use that thing. So here, since I broke it again, my counterfeit is 0 cost now. It shouldn't be a problem with Serenio, but I probably should have played this at the start. I definitely do think you need to be breaking this boss like every single turn. Alright, so now it's doing its true liberation attack. Destructive Urge has been changed. In order to remove it, instead of hitting it a bunch of times, you need to Ravage it. Which, is that possible this turn? Let's find out. And this attack does a ton of damage, especially with the scaling. When you get to the final turn, it's going to just probably one-shot you. I should be fine though. I have a bunch of zero-cost counterfeits, which should help out a bit too. Let's we'll play these now. Next we hit into a repose. And this is definitely enough. So let's take a look at what's in my hand. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. So I'm gonna play these first. And this is just because the same mechanic applies. I have 4 cards here. We're going to Ravage it. And when you remove the Destructive Urge, it's going to take all the cards in your hand, put them into your draw pile, and then you draw 5 cards randomly. I forgot to mention this, but really important. Notice that after we removed Destructive Urge and it shuffled our hand back into our draw pile and drew 5, the tenacity bar refreshed. So especially if you're playing Serennial, this gives you a chance to double break the tenacity bar on a single turn. The turn counter didn't go down or anything either, so you could reshuffle all of your homing lasers back into your hand. So that mechanic is the exact same. Just keep in mind what's in your hand when you get rid of the... Instead of hold on to that. Keep in mind what's in your hand when you get rid of the Destructive Urge. And besides that, that's pretty much the fight. It's break it or ravage it a bunch, I guess. You can see there's really not that much damage being dealt besides the Destructive Urge itself. You definitely do not want to get hit by that, but let's intentionally get hit by it just to see the animation real quick. I don't know if I need to actually do anything for it to hit me with that. Well, here it is.